I'm supporting a cause at my school, so I'm a good guy.
Oh, okay.
And on that
Uh,
note, we're live. Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and we're just hanging out with the boys from CFP. How
that's
you
right.
how you guys doing?
Good.
Doing
Hell
swell,
yeah.
James. How are you, buddy?
Fantastic. I didn't call you guys and say, "Hey, we're doing a thing."
Mm.
I didn't just, drag you guys in here. No, no, this was planned.
Was
Absolutely
it?
planned for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found out. So he FaceTimes at 7:51 and says, "Do you want to live stream?" I said, "When?" He said, "Oh, about 9 minutes." I said, "Okay."
That was about 20 minutes ago. So, also, you boys can actually see in the live stream feed now. This may or may not, depending on what happens, this may or may not be the template live stream for what the draft live stream is going to be here on the channel. So that'll be fun too. And you
So,
guys,
what is something that could happen to prevent this from being the template? Because you said may or may not happen,
well, if basically if everybody says it
leaving the
looks
door open for a worst case scenario.
basically if everybody says it looks terrible, then I'm not keeping it.
No, it looks great. I'm looking at it right now.
Look at that. Fantastic. Similar to what we had last year. So that'll be good. But yeah, for this live stream, we're just going to be hanging out talking to the boys, getting some questions, comments, concerns about anything
That big
related.
board is good.
Uh,
Mecai Becton, Jedrick Wills in the first round, Tristan Wirfs up
gotta
there.
fix that big board.
Thomas.
Yeah, that one hasn't been updated yet.
Is the draft order, I'm
No,
assuming, also
it's wrong.
correct?
It's wrong.
Yeah, Tampa Bay at pick 14.
Right? Yeah,
There they go.
definitely gotta fix some stuff. But that's why we have live streams, is to iron these kinks out. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Actually that would be actually we can fill out the big board together today. So anybody who wants any first round prospects to go on the big board, just put them in and we'll figure it out together. But yeah, in this we'll be taking some questions. Ren Dax here in the chat saying, I like the big board. Okay. James, come on with the Buccaneers. Right on. I'll have to look into
Do it,
that.
buddy. I've been on their show.
Have you?
Yeah, we talked the goat on the boat stuff, and I don't remember what all was happening at the time, but I think it was right around the time that they had re-signed Indomitius Sue, if I remember correctly. They just re-signed a couple of people, but it was a good time. Good talking to those boys.
Nice. Right on. Well, we'll wait for the chat to fill in here and wait for some people to come in on this live stream and hang out. I'll ask you boys, how are you guys doing? Leading up here to the NFL draft, it's what, 10 days away?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
so. So,
Yeah.
man, how you guys feeling right now? A lot of re-signings have been made, a lot of moves done. What are you guys thinking about now going into this draft?
I'm surprised the draft it's creeping up. So um, it's hard to believe that it's like almost a week away. Like it's kind of hard to believe. So yeah, it's been a different year because normally you're planning for the draft like when the season's still going on, and obviously you didn't have to this time. And maybe with playoff teams when they get eliminated in January or whatever, they get the plan for the draft then. Like no, like you went to the very end and then you had a parade and then you brought back everybody. So you really haven't had to think about the draft much, and it's finally here. So
Yeah. It's kind of like Evan said, everything's just been rolling pretty quickly. Um, the draft is creeping up. Like we just put out an episode doing the offensive prospects with Trevor Sikkema, and we're going to do another one with another draft network guy or former draft network guy here soon because he did text me back, Evan. He responded back to me. Um, but I mean, it does feel fast. Like I've never been a huge draft guy, but I feel even more unprepared this year than I ever have. Um,
Yeah.
Vortex had said, "Are you guys taking Dogecoin to the moon?"
That's an interesting question. I used to be invested in Dogecoin.
Yeah, I had it for like 15 minutes, and then I was like, "This is stupid," and so I sold all of it.
Yeah, I had it the first go around. I sold it when it blew up the first time, and then I saw it blowing up again. I was like, nah, we're okay. We don't got to do this.
um, yeah, I had it for 0 seconds.
Yeah.
You fall into a cavern.
It sounds like you fell into a cavern. It sounds like you're just donezoed, Evan. The audio is just dead quiet coming in on for me.
Yeah, you're just really, really soft.
Yeah. Now it's just
Fell down the
non-existent.
pit.
Now it's just non-existent. But anyway, Ren says, "Did any of you guys read the Beast Draft Guide?" I'm not familiar with the Beast Draft Guide. Red?
Negative.
Yeah, I know that Evan got me on Matt. Bro, we still can't hear you, but I know Evan got me on the Matt.
Waving his hands around.
Right, he got me on the Matt. And now he's just using sign language here.
I did.
There we go. You're good now. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, look, the Jaguars are on the clock with the number 1 pick.
I was trying to say,
We're figuring it out.
someone dig up Evan. He's been buried alive. I know. It's I did. I haven't read the entire draft guide, but I saw the Bucs 7-round mock, and I didn't really like it that much. Like, I wasn't a big fan, so I haven't read through the whole thing yet, but I do. It was something that Dean Berger or whatever, Bulger, I guess, had put out on the Athletic. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, the only thing I've been paying attention to is the countless Matt Miller emails that I've been getting because of this subscription thing that Evan had sent me as a gift. And I thought, yeah, we'll try it out. And then just disgusting amounts of emails.
I'm more baffled by the fact that Evan sends you gifts like that.
It's true. That's true.
You're not a draft guy.
Oh, I can't hear him from down in his hole.
Now Evan's back in the pit. That's the point of this live stream. It's just Evan going into the pit.
Joining us live from the sewers of Philadelphia.
It's Evan. Oh my gosh. But yeah, if any of you guys had any draft questions about prospects or potential moves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could make, yeah, don't hesitate to put them in. Actually, one thing that is interesting, kind of leading up to the draft, and I want your guys' opinion on this. You'll probably be talking about it in an upcoming episode of the podcast, but I don't know if you guys saw, but recently there was an article written over by the folks over at NFL.com, and it ranked the general managers on their drafting ability, basically. And I think it excluded 9 of them, but in that rankings, number 1 was Chris Ballard, number 2 was Kevin Colbert, and then number 3 was actually Jason Light of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in that article, it had talked the best pick that they have made during their time as GM, going as far back as 2015, and it talked about their worst pick. I don't remember the best pick. I'm sure there could have been a couple of guys, but the worst pick it had Jason Light making was surprising. It was actually Vernon Hargreaves from 11th overall pick in 2016. And I made a video about it, talking about it and giving my thoughts on it. And there was a little bit of a diversity in a way in terms of split opinions on Jason Light and his overall drafting ability, because a lot of people point to those 2 kickers in that kind of situation. So I want your guys' thoughts on that, in terms of Jason Light, 3rd ranked drafting general manager in the league. Do you agree with that or do you disagree? Rhett, we'll start with you because Evan honestly might still be in the cavern. We don't know.
I'm out, I think.
You're out. You are out. For now. You might fall back
Loud
in.
and clear. I think Jason Light's done a really good job of just turning around his draft record. I remember there was a time draft season would come around and people would get really, really nervous. And I think now there is a different sense of trust with the staff and how they approach. I mean, they've been hitting home runs in the draft these past couple of years. Mac A, one of the exceptions you had brought up, but I don't know. I mean, a list like this isn't going to matter once they start playing football in September, but I think it's definitely generous given his track record. But I don't have I don't have that strong of an opinion on it. But I mean, I guess good job. I'm glad he's there. I'm glad he's not like dead last or anything.
Right.
I definitely don't think he should have been number 1 overall, but I think he's been doing a really good job, and the way he's kind of turned his record around. Sure, I'm fine with it.
Evan, what do you think?
Generous? Come on. Like, he just won the Super Bowl. Like, yeah.
He did. No,
he won the Super Bowl.
Maybe I shouldn't be so harsh, but I don't know. I just don't want to. It's not like he's had the greatest track record for,
if you think about it, he's had one truly bad draft class. One. Like, that was 2016.
Yeah.
Like, 2014, yeah, a lot of, like, the other picks, like Austin Seferian-Jenkins, Charles Sims, like, they didn't work out, but he drafted a Hall of Famer with his first ever draft pick in Mike Evans. 2015, yeah, Jameis Winston's not on the team anymore, but he still got Jameis Winston, Ali Marpet, Donovan Smith, and Quan Alexander. That's 4 starters for a long time in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
Fair.
2016, yeah, it sucked. 2017, O.J. Howard. 2017 is the year that kind of really sucks because I think 2017 had the potential to maybe be the best, but injuries are just killing him. O.J. Howard constantly injured. Justin Evans' career is over pretty much, injuries. Chris Godwin, a home run pick, obviously. And then Kendall Beckwith, another guy who had his career just really shortened. 2018, Vita Vea. Everybody hated him for picking Vita Vea over Derwin James. It was the correct decision. MJ Stewart, yeah, he missed on that one. Like, you're not going to hit on every single one, but brought in Carlton Davis, brought in Ronald Jones, Jordan Whitehead. Those are all impact players. Then 2019, Devin White, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jamel Dean, Mike Edwards. So, yeah, like, he's Scotty Miller. He's bringing in a lot of these good players through the draft. And I understand that people would look at that and say, well, maybe he shouldn't be drafted as high, but you have to think, yeah, if he won the Super Bowl, but he won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady and it wasn't the quarterback that he drafted and stuff like that. Sure, but like, they don't even get to the Super Bowl if it's not for the guys that they did draft. The Devin White, the Sean Murphy-Bunting, the Ali Marpet.
Pretty much your entire defense. I mean,
yeah.
the part of the team that they really had to lean on towards that later run in the playoffs. But yeah.
One of the
so he deserves to be a top 5. He deserves to be top 5 in that.
Yeah, one of the reasons I had wanted to highlight that and talk to you guys about it, because, Evan, you had alluded to it a little bit, was there's that stigma a little bit around the Bucs after this Super Bowl win was, they bought their Super Bowl. They just bought it. They brought in Tom Brady, and I roll my eyes every time I see something like that or hear something like that, because if you really do the research and you look, over half of the 22 starters that are on this team, Jason Light drafted on both sides of the football, just point blank. That alone.
Oh, yeah.
And then you take into fact, some of the high-end role players that are a part of that as well. Like, I'm not even including Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, Cam Brate, who, technically counts, I guess, among some of those other backups, so.
But then also think about the guys that aren't on the team anymore. He found Adam Humphries, an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
And then, like, he obviously, like I said, Quan Alexander, who had left, but he was a 4th round pick. Like, it's not even like a guy like Danny Vitale is still playing in the league, and he was a 7th round pick, I think, or 6th round pick. Like, yeah, he's not playing for the Bucs, but he's still in the league. Like, that's decent.
Yeah.
I mean, even Jeremy McNichols is still in the NFL. Like, I don't, didn't work out in Tampa, but he's still in the NFL. It's not like
he at now?
He was in Tennessee. I don't know if he's still there.
Yeah, last I saw he was with the Titans, but I'm surprised.
Yeah. Well, that's because that John Robinson connection. So John Robinson probably asked late about like every player. So, but then look at how you're supposed to build a football team. Everybody says you're supposed to build through the draft. Exactly. The Bucs have, and you fill holes through free agency. The Bucs' entire offensive line was drafted besides Ryan Jensen. All 4 starters, right? There's 1 starter of the 5 that was not drafted by the Bucs, and that was Ryan Jensen. That's how you're supposed to do it, right?
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette was not drafted by the Bucs. He was signed as a free agent. Antonio Brown was signed as a free agent. Tom Brady. I understand quarterback is the most important position in football. Like, I get it. But you still sign him as a free agent. They signed Brad Johnson as a free agent the year they won a Super Bowl. Or, the year before, I should say. And then on defense, they signed Shaq Barrett to a prove-it deal, a 1-year, $4 million deal. Nobody really knew who Shaq Barrett was. It was a guy who maybe could get you 8-9 sacks a year, and nobody expected the type of production he did. And that's what you have to do to win the Super Bowl. You have to have some unexpected people really shine. Jason Pierre-Paul, he traded for him. You need to do these moves to win a Super Bowl. You can't just consistently build through the draft because no team has that many draft picks. If you're just trying to use the draft and not free agency at all, you have to be one heck of a drafter, and it's going to take you a while anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. and that's why I wanted to highlight that, was just to kind of maybe quiet's not the right word, but kind of put in perspective,
Shut up.
well, just put into perspective the work that Jason Light has done, and if you really just do your research and look at it, like, Jason Light's done a pretty good job. And one thing that a lot of people point to those flops of, well, what about Roberto Aguayo? What about Matt Gay? Irredeemable. Yeah. But one thing that I've always admired about Jason Light in regards to him being a general manager is how quickly he's been willing to move on from those mistakes. I mean, not just in the draft, but in the free agency as well.
Yeah, and I was going to say that is that, Jason Light, his track record over these past few years that's culminated in a Super Bowl, it goes far beyond what some fucking list on a website says, what some list on a website says about his drafting ability. It's about how it comes out on the field. Ultimately, we got a Super Bowl out of it, but it goes into free agency. It goes into his decisions of moving past guys, bringing in competition in certain places that a lot of people didn't think there was competition. I mean, we praise Ryan Suckup, and our guy Ryan Flanagan in the chat has been spamming Ryan Suckup since the stream started, but that move doesn't happen without him bringing in Ryan Suckup as competition to Matt Gay. Right. And I remember when that move first happened, everybody was like, okay, that's cute. Gay's probably still going to be the kicker week 1. And then Ryan Suckup went out and had one of the coldest seasons in Buccaneers history.
And if Gay was the kicker, nobody would be blaming Light. Nobody would be like, oh, why isn't Suckup the guy? They'd be like, okay, yeah, that's expected. Nobody would be getting on him.
Yeah. It goes beyond what he does in the draft. But I think the way that he's really turned things around, Gio Bernard summed it up pretty nicely in one of his press conferences. Like, you can feel it in the building. This team just came off of the Super Bowl, so obviously confidence is going to be at an all-time high. But, I mean, the way that the organization operates now, there's a bit of an unspoken standard. At least it feels like more than there was before, a Bruce Arians got here. Like, he's wanted to win since day one, but now everybody's finally bought in. You got the perfect team put together, and they just got better than they were last season when they won the Super Bowl. So everybody's feeling good. And, if you're Jason Light, you got to be feeling good too. I'm confident in the guy.
You want to talk about, let's talk about, for every Matt Gay and Roberto Aguayo, there's a Ryan Suckup. Like, there is. Just like you said about the mistakes. Cut Deshaun Jackson after 2 years. Traded Deshaun Jackson, I should say. Cut Chris Baker after 1 year. Cut Michael Johnson after 1 year. Released Josh McCown after 1 year. So, like you said about not necessarily hanging on to those players, right? That's the key. Because if you're keeping a bad player around just because you drafted or signed him, that's not good business, right? But people fail to mention his minor signings. Kevin Minter, Steve McLendon, Ross Cockrell, these guys that came at Josh Wells, Aaron Stinney, all guys that Light signed, right? Especially a guy like Stinney. He signed him off the Vikings practice.
I mean, if we're being honest here, are we throwing Josh Wells on that list?
I don't understand I don't understand why you don't like Josh. Every time he's come in, he's done fine.
No, he's done fine. I just know that he's got a record of not always doing fine. I don't know. I'm not crapping on the guy.
You are.
I don't know. He's not a.
I will say this. I in a way I've been converted on Josh Wells. I used to. I can't remember. It was like I saw one play where he just got destroyed. It was just one singular play, and he just got ruined. But I've recently been converted due to conversations I've had with people, and it softened me a bit on Josh Wells. But I do understand where Rhett's coming from a little bit.
I mean, let's be honest. For at least a window of time, he was known as the guy who came into the game and got blown up.
Facts.
James, I don't know if you're looking at the live stream right now, but you have to say the German sentence.
Okay. Let me see. Let's see.
I feel like I can put together all of it except for that last word.
James, now you have to say the German sentence. I don't know if I want to. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that says. I need to get a Google Translate in here. Does OJ?
I don't think they're gonna have you cuss anybody out.
That's true.
Die Buccaneers haben dann Super Bowl gewonnen.
I don't know if that's what that last word is.
I think that's close enough. There you go.
Is it actually like die? Are you saying die?
No, it's like D Buccaneers.
Die Buccaneers haben dann Super Bowl gewonnen.
I think D just means like the in that sentence.
Nick, by the way, we are going to take a question here from the chat. Now that I am looking at it, Nicholas asks, "Does OJ stay injury free this year?" Which that is a very interesting topic.
Well, none of us have a crystal ball, so
it's true. But kind of even, it's been so interesting for OJ specifically because, I've had conversations with people, and man, people are just not willing to give OJ the benefit of the doubt in terms of dealing with injuries.
You ask anybody who isn't a Bucs fan about OJ Howard, and they'll tell you all the exact same thing: is that the guy's terrible, he can't stay healthy. And I mean, it's weird because you can say both things about OJ and still be correct. Like, he obviously hasn't played through a full season yet, but when he's on his game, man, I'm telling you, he is freakish athlete, and I think he's one of the best tight ends in the room.
Yeah, people forget that he's actually good.
Yeah, the conversations that that have surrounded OJ Howard the past couple of years, I remember. Which, I mean, they were only drafted 1 year apart, but still, it's those same conversations that happened at the beginning of Vita Vea's career, where people were just like, oh man, he's a bust, he's always getting hurt, we should have drafted this guy. I think that turned out pretty okay for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when everything was said and done,
Mm-hmm.
So obviously OJ Howard is running kind of on the end of his rope in terms of time to prove that he can stay healthy, but I would still caution people to give the guy a chance. He doesn't suck just because he got hurt. The talent's still there. He's just really unlucky. Like, nobody can control injuries. That's not a thing.
Exactly.
And as Rhett goes to leave the never mind. There you
go. No, he's thirsty, I guess. I don't know what his problem is. Yeah.
But
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to just get up and walk away. I'm really thirsty, and
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
But that's always been my talk in regards to OJ Howard in terms of people just honestly having a lack of patience.
Mm-hmm.
I really
it's frustrating when you see a guy just get hurt. Like, I get it, right?
Yeah.
You want him on the field, Well,
I mean, think about Jason Light is no stranger to having run-ins with guys who have problems with getting hurt. There was a lot of question marks on that draft record that we brought up that were just due to injury. Justin Evans is a big what if because he was looking great until that injury. Noah Spence was a guy we always liked to believe in, but you really just didn't know.
Still think the coaching staff screwed him over, but okay.
Kendall Beckwith.
Yeah, that's the saddest one.
Who could have been really, really good.
That's the saddest one because that's not even a football injury. He just got in a car crash.
Yeah. That's rough, man.
That one was unfortunate. So.
Good question from Ren, though. He said, do any of you lay blame on Light and his staff for the team's biggest needs matching up with the worst talent in the NFL draft? I think basically he's talking about, a lot of people think they need to get younger along the interior of the defensive line.
Right.
But the issue is that this interior defensive line class is one of the worst it's bad, right? Like, I think you have one first-round talent in Barmore, and he's not, I don't think he's in any other year he'd be like the third or fourth best guy, I think. So it's interesting because that's partly where I would lay some blame on Light. Like I said, no GM's perfect, right? But I do think that the interior of the defensive line should have been getting younger before this point. Because now, you're really
there he is.
Willie Beeman, man, even supporting. Yeah, I'm gonna credit that to us being on.
Bro, Willie lays it down. He is a real one, and we greatly appreciate him.
So, I do think that some of it, I've been wanting them. I know Rhett can attest to this. I've been wanting them to get younger at outside linebacker and interior defensive line for a little bit now.
Oh, for years, yeah.
because I just they keep resigning Ndamukong Suh, and like I get it, right? But at the same time, like I would have liked the younger option. But I do understand, like but behind Sue, who is very old, they really have no like Khalil Davis is like a developmental guy. Other than that, I mean, there's not a whole lot there, and now you're looking at a draft class that is just awful, and you may need to draft one, which could be a bad player. Um, so yeah, I do think like the MJ Stewarts of the world. Why couldn't that have been an interior defensive lineman?
Right.
I like Mike Edwards, but instead of drafting Mike Edwards, why couldn't that have been an outside linebacker? Just the little things like that that I think he's really put a lot into the secondary, and I think it should have been some of those picks should have been defensive line. But hey, he's got a Super Bowl, so I mean I do trust him. Whatever. I don't think he'll be perfect, but I do trust that he'll make the correct decision.
And I think the nearsighted nature of last season, the off season last year, nobody was talking about what this draft would hold for interior defensive line, or just what the Bucs would be picking, in the first round last year. When you're talking about potentially playing for a championship, and ultimately you do get the championship out of the deal, like you had mentioned, but like you said, Light's not going to be perfect, and there is some stuff I'm sure that could have been done different. But since we did get a ring out of it, I'm not as upset as I would have been before, just because I don't know. We knew that this was going to be a limited window, and there was only so much they could do. So I think it just comes with the territory.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think that while there is a distinct lack of depth there, for the need that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have in regards to that defensive line positional group. I mean, I use quotations in terms of need because when you really look at it, it's not an insanely necessity for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get a defensive lineman in round one. I mean, they have all their starters there. Yes, you could make the argument that they need to get a young developmental guy, but that's something. One of the biggest things I feel, not just us three, but all Buccaneers content creators have been happy with going into this upcoming draft is the flexibility that they have, in taking the best player available, because they don't have those kind of needs. The Buccaneers, in going into this draft, don't need a starting defensive lineman. They have all their starters. They don't really need a starter at any position because they brought them all back. So while you can say that, well, they need more depth and the guys aren't going to be there in this upcoming draft. I think that at the end of the day, it's probably not going to matter for this upcoming draft because, they have so much flexibility for what they can do. What we might perceive as their needs, they might not deem that because, they don't have a lot of things that they need right now,
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see. But while we've been talking, by the way, I got the big board fixed. I got the entire draft order fixed, and we're rolling now. And Willie, by the way, thank you for that $20 super chat, man. Greatly appreciated for that. He says, fellas, it's the most wonderful time of the year. I've enjoyed all your insights on the NFL draft. I just want depth pieces that can contribute down the line. I have faith Light and The Office can get it done. I think I agree with that. I think that, like what both you guys just said, I have a pretty good amount of faith in Jason Light to do what he needs to do. I think that we could all three agree that this is the most flexibility that the Buccaneers have had in an upcoming draft in as long as all three of us can remember. So, I trust, Light, he's made good moves, be it trading down, trading up, and all these other different types of things, and getting talent, especially in rounds 2 to 4. The dude's been knockout. I think that that's tough to debate there. So, with that being said, actually, on the topic of trading up and trading down, this has been a pretty popular topic, and I kind of want your guys' thoughts on it in regards to both trading up potentially, because I've seen some people say, well, the Bucs don't have any needs, to the point where, hey, why don't they just trade up and get a marquee player, somebody in the teens potentially, or trading back and saying, well, yeah, they don't have any needs, so why don't they trade back and just build up depth in terms of numbers? And I want both your guys' thoughts on that. Nevin, we can start with you.
Yeah, So trading up into the teens, I think would be very difficult. Just because, I mean, let's say you're not talking 19. Let's say you're talking 17 or so, 16. That's a big jump. I mean, you got to realize you're at 32. Like you were at almost the end, right? You are at the end of the first round. So to move up into the teens, like that's a pretty big jump, and I just don't think. I think Bucs fans like that idea until they see what it would actually cost, meaning it would likely cost you maybe next year's first round pick to move up that high. And I think if you heard that from a lot of Bucs fans, it'd be like, oh no, forget it. I do think a trade up is realistic, which normally I say it's really not because I'm like the Bucs aren't in a position, but here they are. Not necessarily into the teens, not even really into the early 20s, but if somebody's there that they really like around 26, 27, I could see them doing it. I could see them giving up their, swapping picks, giving up their third and like their fifth with maybe a 2022 pick in there. I could see that. I could. Maybe they use a guy like Cameron Brate to move up. Maybe they use a guy like Ronald Jones to move up. I don't know. If there's a guy I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying, throwing out an idea. I think they are in a position because they have so little needs, and honestly, there's only 53 roster spots. So you'd like to fit at least your top 4 or 5 rookies in there. So if you're gonna have limited spots anyway, like you don't really want to stuff rookies on the practice squad because then anybody can take them. So I think it could be. If you like a guy enough, if a guy like Jalen Phillips from Miami or Azeez Ojulari from Georgia, or if they fall in love with Najee Harris or Travis Etienne, and they're sitting there at 25, 26, 27, and it doesn't cost you a whole lot to move up, I think they would consider it. I also think they would consider moving down if at 32 and all their guys are gone, and let's say they have an offer because. Yeah, and I know some people be like, oh, well, maybe there's not going to be that much interest because it is the end of the first round. That 5th-year option, right? That's the last chance to get a 5th-year option is the number 32 overall pick. So a team sitting at 39 or so, 40 early in the second round could look at that and say, let's move up, let's give them some picks. And then, the Bucs could maybe do that to – I honestly think this is going to be shocking. I think a trade up might be more likely at this point, based on their recent moves, really plugging all the holes. Re-signing Steve McLendon, re-signing Ross Cockrell, signing Gio Bernard. I mean, they're leaving no holes to fill. So I think a trade up. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Like I think eventually they'll stay at 32 and pick there. But I think a trade up could be slightly more likely than a trade down, which is a very rare case for me to say that.
Quick thing I want to note before you go, Rhett, is in regards to teams trading up for that 32nd overall pick. Ravens did it with Lamar Jackson. Just a quick thing to note. But Rhett, you can go now.
Yeah. No, I mean I can understand it, but I don't see a lot of situations where the Buccaneers trade up and it doesn't feel like a reach. And I think that's just because of the different situation that they're in with the draft this year. When you don't have that big of a pressing need. I mean, if there's a marquee player that they like, and like Evan said, it's realistic and it doesn't cost a whole lot, I can see it. But if you're trading a guy like Cam Brate to move up, depending on who they walk away with, I just don't. I don't like that situation. As far as the strategy in this year's draft goes, a situation where they trade back would be a little bit better, in my opinion, just because you can cover some more ground. We know Jason Light's had, a little more hits on the mid-round guys these past few years. If you can load up on picks there, that's not a bad situation to be in if you find yourself with a team that wants that spot at 32. But if I had to pick, I would definitely prefer them to trade back, just kind of, get a little bit more depth in an area that could be secure instead of trading up and getting a guy that they don't necessarily need.
I mean, they need a third pass rusher.
I think too.
And they need Jason Pierre-Paul's a free agent next year. He's 32 years old, was dealing with a knee injury. Like he ain't the spring chicken anymore.
That's the beauty of the draft this year too, is that really there isn't a situation that they could go where it wouldn't have a bunch of reasons of making sense. Well, I think it just comes down to personal opinion.
Kyle Trask in a Bucs uniform at 32.
Oh, God.
That would make much sense. But anyways, I do
God.
want to say one point. Both of you guys said, Jason Light has had a lot of success in the later rounds. Jason Light's last 3 first-round picks have been Vita Vea, Devin White, and Tristan Wirfs. He's hit home runs in the first round too. So why not trust him? Why not trust him to move up and get a guy if he likes him enough? So it was nice that we were able to sort of do both sides of the argument there.
Personally, I haven't even given my answer yet. So it's whatever. Just screw it. It's fine. It's whatever. Just Evan is
James, what I'm gonna say. It's your stream and it doesn't matter. Okay.
So okay.
You're giving off the energy of Rob Lowe at that one game where he's got the NFL hat on.
NFL,
right? So if you guys saw a trade up happening, what prospect would it be for? Probably maybe a marquee pass rusher then.
Yeah, I think you'd be looking at a pass rusher or a guy like a Najee Harris. I don't know. I still do not believe signing Gio Bernard takes them out of the running for Najee Harris or Travis Etienne. I think it would probably mean no Javonte Williams because Javonte Williams is the clear third best running back. He's a good running back, but he's like the third best guy. Mm-hmm. And I think Harris and Etienne are 2 elite options. They're clearly not thrilled with Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette's ability to be 3 down backs, or they wouldn't be going and signing pass catching backs and stuff. So, I still think they're looking for that guy. Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, and Gio Bernard are all free agents next year. Wouldn't surprise me if they ended up moving up for Najee Harris. But yeah, Jalen Phillips probably at this point isn't very realistic. So maybe like a guy like Azeez Ojulari is there at 26. And from Georgia, the pass rusher, and the Bucs really like him. Give up your obviously keep your second, but give up your third round pick and like your 5th round pick to move up. Like you have your first, you have your second, but you don't have your third, and you still have your 4th round pick. Like it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Edit's video says, why do you think the Bucs will still draft Najee when they just drafted Vaughn?
Because that guy sucks.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I was about to say.
No, I mean to put it lightly, the Bucs just don't trust Keyshawn Vaughn. I mean they've made that really clear. Leonard Fournette was another veteran on this depth chart to kind of push him down a little bit more. Gio Bernard, the exact same thing.
They didn't have to bring back Leonard Fournette. Nobody was telling them to do it. They did it.
No, they did it, but. Keyshawn Vaughn, I'm in the group of people that thinks his sample size is way too small. But what sucks about Keyshawn Vaughn is that when you're a championship team, you don't get a lot of chances to mess up the way that he messed up. Like, let's think about some of his biggest plays this year. Other than that one touchdown he had against, the Chargers, he was hurting his team a lot.
in the playoffs, in the Washington game, he fumbled at midfield, like in a playoff game. Like, you're one and done. And you fumbled. I mean, he was only playing because Ronald Jones was hurt. Like, that's the only reason.
I would like to see him. I would like to see him more involved just to see if he's got what it takes. But when you're on a team that just won a Super Bowl, you don't get that many chances, especially when you're dealing with limited preseason stuff like that too. So it'll be critical to see what the preseason looks like this season for a guy like Keyshawn Vaughn.
So here's the thing, and I am not joking. That guy sucks. He's not good. His college tape was very underwhelming. He didn't have good college tape. And I know everybody says, Ronald Jones, he sucked his rookie year too. Ronald Jones had good college tape. Ronald Jones showed something on college. Keyshawn Vaughn
it was a little bit bigger of a deal when Rojo didn't deliver.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I get it. He was a 2nd round pick. It was a high 2nd round pick too. But I mean, like, dude, Keyshawn Vaughn wasn't even the best running back on the board when he was drafted. Like, no, like he's not it. If he delivers, I'll gladly come on MrBucsNation or go on CFP and eat crow, right? Whatever, I'll do it. But I don't see it. I just don't see it. I didn't see it before the season. I definitely don't see it now, and that's why I wouldn't rule out them drafting a running back. And also the other thing, even if they do let Keyshawn Vaughn for next year. Yet again, they still have 3 running backs that are free agents next year. Like, so maybe they do draft a running back and just have Najee Harris and Keyshawn Vaughn be their 2 main guys next year. Who knows?
Putting the hammer down.
Yeah,
Don, put the hammer in Don.
yeah, so I
Come
still
on,
have
James, you're for the brand. Let's go.
hammer down. So I still have faith in Keyshawn Vaughn. Much like what Rhett said. I mean, the guy still hasn't really shown.
That dude stinks.
Okay, not see.
Oh,
I don't
brother,
know.
this guy stinks.
He's not a dude.
My for the brand hoodie's in the car, but I do still think people should be willing to just wait a little bit more on Keyshawn Vaughn, and I think that he will eventually show that he can be good for this team. So Evan, you might have to make the rounds there.
I won't have to make the rounds because I'm never wrong. But okay.
Well, okay, wow, okay. Well,
I'm like LeVar Ball.
I mean, Kevin in the live chat knows more than anybody, but Evan's being a real duck right now, man.
Wait, is Kevin in the live chat?
Oh yeah, he is
yeah,
checking
Kevin's
in.
here.
Oh yeah, this show stinks. This show stinks. Yeah, so does Keyshawn Vaughn. So.
All right. Well,
You know what's crazy is that people are talking about how insane it is that the Bucs, might want to carry 5 running backs next year if they find themselves at that point. It's insane, but they've done it before, and I think that's important to mention too.
The tough thing is that one of those, I think another reason that and we just don't know, right? They could not be considered Najee Harris or Travis Etienne at all if they don't think Keyshawn Vaughn can play special teams. Because if you're carrying 5 running backs, you're one of them or maybe 2 of them is gonna have to play special teams.
Right.
Like you just are. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if Keyshawn Vaughn. I'm not sure how much he did it. I don't think obviously he wasn't a returner or anything in college, and I don't really think he got a shot at returning in the NFL. But I don't know if he was like a gunner or anything on special teams with the Bucs this year. But then also like Najee Harris, you're not going to draft him in the first round and play him solely on special teams.
that's
Ren, I don't want to hear your opinions. Okay,
At least there's hair up there. I mean.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, one thing the chat's been talking about the entire live stream is pass rushers. We mentioned it a little bit here. And Evan, I think you have around 3 minutes left, so this can be the last thing that you can
3
comment
minutes
on
left. What is Evan on the clock right now?
Yeah, I'll be able. I'll push it to 9:10. I'll push it to 9:10.
Oh,
Perfect.
Oh.
So, obviously they're talking about pass rushers. We've mentioned a couple of them. Are there any pass rushers in, let's say, I don't know, the top 2 rounds that you guys have really fallen in love with in terms of some of the prospects? Because I've got the big board fixed, and there's a couple of guys up there. Joe Tryon, Jason Away, among Gregory Rousseau out of Miami, as well as some other guys that are out there,
I like Kevin. I like Kevin's idea. Check the chat.
I think it's time to capitalize on making a shirt with Evan's face on it.
hey, we can make that happen.
I'll wear it.
But as far as prospects for this year go, I really like Jalen Phillips. I like the idea of an edge rusher. We've been talking about getting younger at that position for a little while. You just got Shaq to a deal, but you did mention JPP is going to be a free agent.
And he's old man River at this point.
We had Trevor Sikkema on our show last week, and he actually talked me over on Landon Dickerson, that offensive lineman out of Bama. And I don't think addressing the trenches you can go wrong there. But I would like an interior offensive lineman, a guy like Dickerson. I think can get it done. Trevor talked about his his utility. What's the term? He's a very utility player. He can fit in pretty much anywhere, and he can be, that swing tackle that they had lost in Joe Haig. So I like a Dickerson, and then I like Phillips out of Miami. Those are kind of the 2 that, I would go with.
So I like Joe Tryon, but I like him more at 64 than at 32. Or if the Bucs would trade back. If the Bucs would trade out of the first round, I think he could be an option. Joseph Osai, kind of the same thing. 32, I'd be okay with Osai. I'm a big, motor guy. And Joseph Osai, big motor, right? Yeah, come on, Rhett.
I'm a big Carl Nassib guy. He's in a similar boat.
Yeah, exactly. This should have you written all over it. And Joseph Osai just has an incredible motor. He doesn't give up. And I mean, neither does Tryon, but I think Osai's ceiling might be a tad bit higher. As far as other guys, Jason Away, he is one of the biggest boomer bust guys. I think he could be a consistently 10-sack guy, maybe even more in the right situation with time. I don't think you're going to get that right out of the gate. But also, I think he could be a complete non-factor. He's definitely going in the first round, so it's a risk, right? Like at first, when this draft process first started, it was maybe he'll go in the first. Now it's like he's going to go in the first. As far as other guys, like I like Peyton Turner from Houston at 64 if he's there. Doubt he's going to be there. I would actually, yeah, I wouldn't mind. Rhett brings up Landon Dickerson, which we talked to Trevor about that. Go check that out. It's a shameless plug, but go check out the interview with Trevor. We talked about offensive draft prospects. So today you're getting a lot of defensive stuff, and we'll have our defensive draft prospect episode out with a special guest coming out soon. But I would be perfectly fine if the Bucs' first two picks were Landon Dickerson and Peyton Turner. I think it would fill two needs, and I think you're getting two solid football players. So as far as edge guys, those are the guys that I like the most. Jalen Phillips is sort of piggyback because, I've been talking about him for a while, and I sort of talked him into it. Rhett's not the biggest draft guy, but I was like, look, this guy is good. But there's a lot of risk with him. He has he literally retired because of injuries. Like, he was at UCLA first, had to retire because of injuries. So, yeah, that's a huge risk. But if you're talking pure talent, he's a top 10 talent in the class. If he didn't have any injury histories, you would see him probably as the first defender off the board, I think. So, I do think that that Phillips would be a home run pick. I don't think he's going to be there. Greg Rousseau, no thank you. I know it's like the hot name because, or I should say the sexy name, Rhett. Because inside joke there. If you've been listening to CFP for a very long time, you'd get that one. That was before the Arians hire, I think, right?
Oh yeah, that was way before it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we were previewing Dirk Cutter's last draft.
Yeah, Jim and John Harbaugh. We were talking about Jim and John. So yeah, Greg Rousseau just not. I just don't think he has it. So those are the guys. My long-winded answer, but yeah, I would be perfectly fine if it was Dickerson and then Turner. I think you're getting two solid players at two positions that you'll need now and also need for the future.
Well, I agree with both you guys, except for that Gregory Rousseau comment, Evan. I do like Gregory Rousseau. I think he could be good. Kevin makes a good point here. This draft has a lot of edge rushers with upside that need development, so it works for the Bucs to take a guy early and have him sit for a bit.
Yep.
I agree with that. I think that's a very solid take.
Especially when you've got, two edge rushers that do not want to get off the field. Like that's another thing that's important to remember too, is that this isn't a guy who's going to go in there and do anything more than relieve, JPP and Shaq on a couple of plays off, because those guys don't miss out on that snap count.
I think best case scenario for if the Buccaneers were to draft an edge rusher, in the first round, was he comes in and he has a year that Carl Nassib had his last year.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where he comes
that's a really perfect scenario.
That would be phenomenal. Where he comes in, is playing, probably 60% of the snaps on the season, or rotating in, and he's getting 6 sacks on the year. Great.
God, I miss Carl Nassib, man.
You're gonna love Joseph Osai then. You're gonna love him.
Oh, I'm sure. Like we've said before, I don't think there's a move they can make in the draft this year that is going to be wrong. You know what I mean? Maybe there is.
James is trying to segue here.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll let you get to it, James. It's your show.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Rhett, because another thing people have been talking about is quarterbacks. And
they're not.
Huh?
No, they're not. It's all a facade. ESPN created these fake narratives to make you think that Tom Brady isn't being biomedically engineered to be better in a lab as we speak right now.
I told you guys my
It's
theory.
fake news.
He absorbs the pliability of all the people who are on the TB12 method, and he never ages. But, quarterback takes for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been all over the place. I even did a poll today talking about some of the quarterback options for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and got people's thoughts, which I will go to that poll right now. But I've seen people say quarterback round 1, quarterback round 2, quarterback round 3, 4, literally anywhere in the draft. So I want to ask both of you guys 2 questions here while I pull up this poll. Question 1, do you think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should draft a quarterback in this upcoming NFL draft? And then question 2, if yes, where should they draft a quarterback in this upcoming draft? Rhett, we'll start with you, and then Evan.
I guess we will. Sorry, I didn't mean to take charge on that
I was
one.
about to say
but...
he sort of by default, kind of. But okay.
No, I don't think they should. I mean, listen, if they want to go in the 4th, 5th, 6th round to address the backup quarterback position, I can understand an argument for it. But you've got a verbal commitment from Tom Brady to play for 2 more years. I just don't think this is the year to do it, especially because this quarterback class is obviously not that great either. When we're talking about the possibility of Kyle Trask in a Bucs uniform, I don't get excited. Like I just don't. It doesn't fit the mold for me. I'm not a Kyle Trask guy. I'm a big Gators fan, but I don't think Trask is really that special. I just don't think this is the year for it. I don't think the timing works out. But if I were to say yes, late rounds, and only because they want to, get rid of a backup quarterback. But that's it.
Yeah, I think, it has to be. Even the 4th round, I think, would be a little bit for me. Like I'm fine the 5th. I'm fine the 6th. They have 2 7ths, I think. So,
I see our guy James Morgan in the live chat that we ran into at the Shrine game last year. That Ginger Justice. Oh, I like James Morgan.
We will talk about James Morgan in a moment because I did see that as well from Ren there. But what were you saying, Evan?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the quarterback class is one of the best in years, but it's one of the best in years if you're in the top 10.
Yeah,
if you're in the top 10 of the draft, you're golden because I think Mac Jones is decent. I wouldn't draft him inside the top 10, but I think he's decent. If he was there at 32, I think the Bucs should absolutely pick him because he'd be worth the pick at 32 to have him sit. But, I mean, you're talking about Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Trevor Lawrence. I think they're elite prospects, right? Like, I think they're all very good and will be very good. But after those 4, after Mac Jones, I mean, you're talking about a drop-off, man. I mean, who's the 5th best quarterback? Is it Kyle Trask? Is it Kellen Mond? Is it Davis Mills? Davis Mills is a bust, for one simple reason. It's he wears sleeves. He's a full sleeve guy. Peyton Manning, only noted quarterback to be good in full sleeves.
Did Tom Brady not wear full sleeves for some period of time at the beginning?
I think I do think he might have worn them in the first year, but that was before Tom was Tom. So I don't care.
Never mind. Go ahead.
I don't care if he won a Super Bowl. Like I don't.
No, that's not where I was going. I was thinking of another alteration that Tom Brady makes to his jersey that I don't think any other quarterback makes. And he gets it like you guys have heard how Brady gets his jerseys like specially hemmed to where they don't go down all the way, but he doesn't have to tuck it in. Like it stops perfectly at his waistline.
Oh, but I love it.
Yeah, he has them special made. So I don't know if that same logic is applied there, but I mean we're also talking about quarterback prospect and then a guy who just won his 7th Super Bowl.
Yeah. So I just don't think and the Davis Mills thing I think Davis Mills is it's just a bit that I do with the sleeves thing, but talking about him as a prospect, I think he's a decent backup. I think he's just a developmental guy that in the right situation can maybe be a starter. That's just not the type of dude that I want to pick in the 2nd or 3rd round when you're clearly trying to win another Super Bowl. It is not like they're one and done. Because if they were one and done, they wouldn't have re-signed Shaq Barrett. They wouldn't have re-signed Ndamukong Suh. They wouldn't have gone through all these hoops and moved around so much money to be able to afford all these guys. They wouldn't have done it. Right? If they weren't trying to go for another, they wouldn't have extended Tom Brady's contract. They would have said, we got our one. Hey, Tom, you can play us last year. Whatever happens, and, we're good. No, they seriously want to do it again. So I just don't think that that's very responsible to be picking a quarterback within the first 3 or 4 picks when you're trying your best to fill holes. Now, there's not many holes, but you're trying your best to fill the holes that are there and add some depth. And if Tom Brady goes down, the season's done. It doesn't matter who's coming. It doesn't matter, right?
I think you said this. They wouldn't put depending on who's on the bench, they wouldn't put a Kyle Trask
Yeah,
in week 6 against the Saints.
If the Bucs three quarterbacks this year are Tom Brady, Blaine Gabbert, and Kyle Trask, guess who's coming in if Brady gets hurt? Blaine Gabbert's coming in, not Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask is not coming in and leading them to a Super Bowl. It's not happening. So if your starting quarterback goes down, your season's most likely done. Okay, so with that being said, why waste a pick and say, oh, you really need a good backup quarterback? No, you don't, because of all the backup quarterbacks, none of them are going to get the job done, most likely. The only case was really like Nick Foles in recent memory, right? I don't see it. So I'd much rather get value and depth at positions that matter, like pass rusher, like interior defensive lineman, like center and guard, tackle, maybe another wide receiver, maybe another running back, maybe a linebacker, an inside linebacker, maybe guys like that. I'd much rather see the pick spent there than picked on another quarterback, especially one that, Trask, Mond, and Mills, I just think they have too many questions right now.
So couple of things to note. Number one, people in the chat saying, Evan, you forgot about was Zach Wilson?
Oh, Zach Wilson. Yeah, sorry.
So Zach Wilson,
he's another really good, really good. So there's 5. He's another really good player, but just.
Number 2, James Morgan. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
To trade for him. I don't know if he would be on their radar.
Ginger Jesus, man.
But they
did like him. I know that.
Yeah. And just, hey, me and Rhett, we got to talk to the guy. He's a pretty cool guy. He's a solid guy, big, strong arm. Anyway, but then I feel like I'm more open, I think, than both you guys to taking a quarterback in the middle rounds. I'm not saying take a quarterback in round 1, but I wouldn't be opposed to them taking a quarterback with, say, pick 64 or in rounds 3 or 4. One guy I just talked about in my mock draft today was actually Jamie Newman. Quarterback from Wake Forest, and technically Georgia, but he didn't play this year. But I think that it's pretty important to get that developmental guy. I mean, and the words came out of Bruce Arians' mouth himself whenever he was asked about, what are you looking for in this upcoming draft? He said speed on defense, depth on both lines, and a developmental quarterback. Those are the things that he's looking for. And he had, I don't know, I'm paraphrasing here in a way, but I believe he had also said something along the lines of, hey, if the right quarterback's there at whatever pick, we'll see, So I think it will be more of an interesting thing to keep an eye on, in terms of, like, say, rounds 2 through 4, for them to potentially get a quarterback, and I always look to the example of the New England Patriots, obviously don't want to compare the two teams that much, but they took Jimmy Garoppolo in the 2nd round. They took Jacoby Brissett in the 4th round when Tom Brady was there quarterbacking. And that was a while ago, that was a few years ago. That's not even in the situation where it is now where, Tom has got 3-4 years left, maybe, who knows, maybe like 20 more, depending on how Tom Brady ever wants to do these things. But I don't think it is completely out of the realm of possibility here.
We got some accusations in the chat that James is in here sipping that yak after that Jamie Newman observation. I don't know, man. Evan's a big Jamie Newman guy, right?
Big Jamie Newman guy. He's one of my favorites in this class as a whole. I told a story. I don't know if I told the story last week or the week before, but I told the story of how, like, last year after the draft was over, I had literally tweeted, Jamie Newman could be a perfect, backup for Tom Brady next year. And I was ready to draft him in the 1st round. Obviously, that was projecting, and you're projecting him to play and in 2020, and he didn't. But and then I had texted a buddy, and I was like, Jamie Newman's a good quarterback. I texted him right after that last year's draft. So, yeah, I've been on the Newman train for a while. I would be completely comfortable drafting him in the 5th round. I think if he's available in the 5th, you absolutely do it. He's got all the tools. I just think he has to put them together. And the mechanics are a little weird, but I think if he's able to put them together, I definitely think he has the size and the arm strength to be able to thrive in a Bruce Arians offense. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure. I don't know if they have any interest in him. But it would be interesting to see that if they did, I think it could be a decent fit.
I agree. And just to read a couple more comments here, and then we're going to end off the live stream. Red Pearl said, Mac Jones, this to paraphrase, Mac Jones looks like Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen looked like Mac Jones in college. Tell me what happened to Josh Rosen. 49ers took him from our practice squad, and now they want to take a quarterback over Rosen and Jimmy G. By the way, I just want to say, me and Evan agree on this. Josh Rosen was still here. Bucs I wouldn't even be considering them drafting a quarterback because Josh Rosen's our guy.
As much as people don't like it, I think that might be the case as well, because that's all the conversation was during his brief time in Tampa Bay, and I'm still on that train. And listen, look at the quarterback room for San Francisco right now. I mean, that is where legacy backup quarterbacks go to get dealed. It seems like, so he could end up, I don't know, on a friendly team somewhere down the line. Who knows?
Hey, Bucs want to trade a
Josh Rosen, future of the franchise, baby.
You know, if the Bucs want to trade a 7th rounder to get Josh Rosen back, I'd be here for it. You know, I'd be here for it. They have an extra 7th rounder, but let's see. Evan just bagged on all the quarterback for the Bucs. Now he's all in for Newman. WTF? Well, Evan responds.
Stuff happens.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say something.
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, all the quarterbacks, all the quarterbacks that are like going to be drafted in the first 3 rounds. Yeah, like Jamie Newman, I don't believe is going to be drafted in the first 3 rounds. Probably not even the first 4 rounds. Kellen Mond, Davis Mills, and Kyle Trask are all 2nd or 3rd round picks. I do not want to take one of those guys with a 2nd or 3rd round pick when there's other players on the board that could be more valuable. Like when it comes, after the 4th round, to me, the draft's a crapshoot either way. But after the 4th round, to me, it really just becomes like you're just throwing darts at a dartboard and seeing what sticks. I think Newman could be a guy like that.
Gotcha. And Bucs should draft a punter. People's champ is still hanging around.
Yeah, I don't know why. They have the best punter in the NFL. I don't know what you're talking about. So
I do just want to say, though, recently I was watching the Pat McAfee show, and he had said, like, yeah, the Bucs were going to paraphrase. He didn't flat out say this, but what I garnered from was, yeah, if I just would have gotten my COVID test, the Bucs would have brought me in. We were so close.
Yeah, that was the week that the whole special teams unit had that protocol scare.
Yeah.
And Bradley had talked about that from his side on our podcast a little while ago. But yeah, I'd heard that story too. That would have been something, dude. McAfee out of retirement. That would have officially made the Buccaneers like the '92 dream team of football.
I bet. I mean, he probably would have stayed on the whole time too, because why not? He would have gotten a Super Bowl ring out of it.
Yeah, and then now he's the announcer for SmackDown.
He's on his show interviewing Aaron Rodgers the week before the NFC Championship game. Just
he's just like,
he's just talking about the Bucs. I'm pretty sure our guys are gonna kick your guys' ass.
Right.
We're gonna run a fake as long as so and so doesn't fill in the C gap at the last second.
Here's a question from Kevin. I have a serious question for you guys. What would be more exciting to see this season? Vita taking a handoff for a long touchdown run, or Sue kicking a game-winning field goal? Vita Vea taking a handoff for a long touchdown.
Yeah, I gotta go Vita too.
Easily.
Vita.
That would be insane. But with that being said, guys, I think we're just about done here. If Mon goes in the 2nd round, I'll eat my phone, says Ren. Imagine Pat doing
I never said he would, but I think he's going in the 2nd or 3rd round. So
imagine Pat doing the show for the game. That would be phenomenal, actually. And then let's see. No Rosen, guys, says Red Pearl. Well, I'm still want them to get Josh Rosen eventually one day. But guys, with that being said, we're going to end off what was honestly a pretty chill, relaxing live stream. We got a lot done. We fixed the big board. We fixed the ticker on the bottom. We fixed the on the clock. It looks like everything's ready for the NFL draft, which you guys will hopefully be here for at least a little bit, right?
I'm Ron Burgundy. That's sort of how he was saying it. I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy. So hopefully
I'm Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez. Yeah, so I'd obviously like to have you guys back for that NFL draft live stream, and however long you want to be on there, because it's going to be a bit of a doozy.
I will tell you right now, I will not be on the entire time. So I will make an appearance maybe, but I will not be on there the entire time. You're going to be literally, what are you going to do for bathroom breaks? You just going to stand there? Or?
I have a BRB screen.
Okay, oh cool. You're fancy, aren't you? God
Oh.
dang.
Yeah, man, I have a BRB screen that I put up. It's from my live stream game reactions, so it'll be great. But yeah, guys. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this live stream. For those of you who aren't already subscribed to the Cannon Fire podcast, please go do that. They have me on all the time, and they don't really got to do that because why who wants to talk to me for that long, that consistent?
I feel like James
honestly
is just
don't know.
trying to subtly tell us he doesn't want to come on the podcast anymore. Listen, buddy.
It's fine. Whatever.
And they just flip words that I say, so that makes them even better, So definitely go give them a subscription there. It's free and it's wonderful. You guys won't regret it. They do phenomenal work. Just talked to Trevor Sikkema of the Draft Network recently about some of the prospects. They have a show coming up very soon to talk about even more draft prospects with more people who are formerly of the Draft Network, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. So, with that being said, guys, go check them out. Go subscribe. Willie, if you want to go ahead and put that link in the chat, that would be greatly appreciated. and guys, before we leave, is there anything that you guys would like to say in terms of your parting words? Evan, we will start with you.
Not really. Yeah, like just James said, thanks for all the support on the podcast. It's been a great year, and we're sort of working hand in hand with MrBucsNation here. So trying to get close to 10K. We're nowhere near that right now, but maybe we'll make our own sea shanty thing when we get there. But yeah, thanks a lot for having us on. Be sure to subscribe to the show and on Twitter at Canfire Pod and Instagram at Canfire Podcast. So
Yeah, buddy.
Right,
I mean, Evan covered all the ground I needed to. Just follow myself on Instagram and Twitter at Redicus, RHETTAKUS. If you follow me, I promise I will follow you back. And that's it. Thanks again for having us on, buddy. It's always a good time talking ball with you.
Of course. Thank you guys for joining on literally about 5 seconds worth of notice about an hour ago. That was greatly appreciated. Richard says James is in regularly when he doesn't sleep in. So
exactly.
Had to get it in there.
James sleeps into about noon just about every day. So.
Well, Kevin also mentioned that anytime James goes on, the stream breaks, which is also true. I think the last live stream we tried to do with MrBucsNation, it just was not our night. Yeah. It was a rough night.
Hey, it's better than what I used to do. I used to do the freaking 3 a.m. live streams,
Oh, man. Dude, all of your uploads used to be queued for like 2, 3 a.m.
They still are.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this live stream. We will see you, obviously, in a lot of videos leading up to the NFL draft. But just to kind of get a feeler, for guests on and just, what the live stream is going to look like for the upcoming 2021 NFL draft, this is probably what it's going to end up looking like. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and we will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs. That's hilarious. You guys did the freaking salute.